So my urine continued, so I took a sample and I took them to my doctor. Shortly after, they began showing up in my saliva more frequently, and the nausea returned more often.
Your report mentions that you specified which liquids evoked more nausea than others, particularly water. Now, was it sparkling water?
I'm sorry, why is this portable?
It wasn't carbonated water.
Well, no.
You felt symptoms of nausea, mostly from drinking still water, and you would also feel ill. Were there any other symptoms which occurred, even once? Irritations, mood swings, temperature changes, perhaps anything more in your fluids?
Nothing significant, but... well... I cut myself quite badly 3 or 4 days after the incident, and I treated the wound myself, but when I went to the hospital, and they were surprised how quickly a laceration of such sort had healed.
The wound had healed quicker than usual. That wasn't mentioned in your initial report.
Well, no, as I said, I treated it immediately, and the doctors thought nothing more of it. You know, it wasn't important. I was more concerned about black particles in my fucking liquids.
I understand, Mr. We're just here to create a coherent, detailed report of everything that has been happening and to understand what your body is telling us.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be very much help to you. I don't know anything more, and neither does anyone else apparently, so I don't really see what good this is doing.
I think we should call a 20-minute recess. Mr. Would you like to come back?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Well, open recess.
Reel 1. This interview is being conducted by the United States Body for Medical Research and Concern. The date is June 18, 1959. The interviewee is Mr. Isaac Kessler. The USBMRC is interviewing Mr. Kessler regarding medical concerns for his recent condition following an incident reported by himself on September 16, 1957. Details of the incident are to be discussed by Mr. Kessler for purposes of research quotation. The USBMRC and myself would like to thank you, Mr. Kessler, for agreeing to attend this interview with us.
Of course, by all means. You Americans come all this way to see me. I don't see why I shouldn't humor you.
Thank you. Now, before we begin, I must ask you some questions which may seem unrelated, just for the purposes of your own clarity.
By all means.
Firstly, I would like to ask, is the information we provided in our introduction correct?
Do you?
Do you have any corrections to make?
I don't.
Do you know where you are at the time of this interview?
I do.
Good. And are you aware of the content and purposes of this interview?
Look, if you chaps are going to start talking about extraterrestrials, look, as long as we don't cover that, we'll be fine.
I will respectfully ask the question again. Are you aware of the content and purposes of this interview?
Yes.
Good. Now, with your permission granted, we will engage in the first stage of this interview. Mr. Kessler, please describe to us the initial events you reported on September 16, 1957.
What? I've already been interviewed for this thing. Look, I told them before, I got home from work. I used to work as a sales associate for Philips Electrical. And I got home and I went for a shower. You know, I've not heard anything back. Listen, I need to know something. My water supply is connected to a freshwater spring on my property. Now, I've heard no talk about this. Why isn't that being investigated? I don't understand why nobody's telling me anything.
It has been appreciated that you feel a little out of the loop. I assure you, we know just about as much as you do in this situation. Please understand, we are not the press.
Certainly.
As you were saying, you source your water from a spring, and you returned home from work for a shower.
Yes. It must have been 5:30 in the afternoon. A hot day, so I decided to have a shower, as I said. It was out of the ordinary. Everything seemed normal until... well, I kept my eyes closed, you see, and when I opened them, I noticed the water had changed.
How did it change?
It was, black, but like paint. Only it had the consistency of water. It was strange. I thought it was paint at first, so I turned off the shower and I checked every other water let in the house to be sure that there wasn't a contamination problem, and I discovered no issues, but well, that's when I noticed. You see my feet. They were stained.
Yes. Now, this staining around your feet. Your medical report mentions that it's still present even after multiple washes. Is that true?
Yes, but you know that. Do you want to see?
That is unnecessary at this current time, Mr. Kessler.
Well, that's the whole reason you chaps were here. Another look, another prod.
We have received your medical records prior to this interview, and we've seen the photographs already. There's no need to show us.
I'm sorry, you have my medical record. Who gave authority and permission for that?
Your general practitioner, Mr. Kessler.
Oh, so we've done away with patient confidentiality now, haven't we? What on earth's next?
I mean, who are you people supposed to be again?
We have been allowed access to your medical history, which has been updated to include the recent events as disclosed with confidence by your current medical representative. Anything we are told is only said with confidence and nothing less. To answer your question, we have been approached to help with the investigation, as we may have our own native practices which could benefit you, provided we know exactly what we're dealing with.
And what is it we're dealing with?
Remaining on topic, Mr. Kessler.
You're not the first, you know. I've had all manner of shrinks and professors come to look at me. I don't know anything. I don't understand. They only seem to be interested in this fluid.
Yes. Now your fluid. That brings me on to my next series of questions.
Of course. Please, go ahead.
Abbreviating initial interludes, the next thing you did was visit your doctor regarding some new symptoms. Now, could you please list some of those symptoms for me?
Yes, have you got a cigarette?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. What was the question again, please?
Your new symptoms, Mr. Kessler, could you please list them for me?
Well, other than the staining of my feet being the initial thing I noticed. Thank you. I began shortly after feeling nauseous, like a headache, only nothing I'd ever encountered before. And shortly after within a day or two, this black particulates in my urine.
Particles.
Yes.
You had particles in your urine.
Yes. Small, like dust almost. Black pieces.
Please forgive me, Mr. Kessler. This is all just to obtain clarity for survey purposes. Anything which we confidentially discuss is purely to get the clearest picture of what's been happening.
Of course. Would you like a recess?
No, the black particulates in my urine contain...
Recess closed. Reel 2. USBMRC continuing the interview of Mr. Isaac Kessler with interest to his report on September 16, 1957. Recapping report involving a black substance found in the water of Mr. Kessler's home, limited to his shower for a temporary period. The water is sourced from a spring on Mr. Kessler's property, but further details are pending. We have accounted a list of symptoms from Mr. Kessler, including stained residue on his feet, bouts of nausea commonly brought on by the consumption of still water, and possible residue in the subject's fluids. We have also been made aware of an unreported excel in tissue reconstruction, which is still due to be investigated. Mr. Kessler, can you confirm this recount?
Yes, but I don't know what you mean by tissue reconstruction. It was just a cut.
Please explain.
I mentioned it was just a cut. I don't understand why we're wasting our time with trivial incidents that have nothing to do with what's going on.
I appreciate that. However, the purpose of this interview is to gather any information you have presented to us, and I am afraid, trivial or not, what you say is still relevant.
So if I was to say anything you'd note that as relevant, then would you?
We would like to conduct the next stage of our investigation with a little bit about yourself, specifically your activities and consumptions before the time of the incident. You were returning home from work, but can you run us through your day and perhaps anything you had eaten or drank before the time of the shower?
Are you serious? I tell you, black water has come out of my shower. My feet are stained. Things have clearly begun to happen to me. And you're more interested in what I ate for lunch, making me some kind of patient zero.
Please clarify what you mean by that.
You know exactly exactly what I mean by patient zero. Sorry. It seems to be happening because of that water. I don't understand why that's not being investigated. Like I said, the water on my property comes from a spring. Do you know how many people in my local area source their water that way? Why are you investigating other incidents? Surely this is bigger than this.
Mr. Kessler.
Look, they've gotten you Americans involved, clearly. I don't understand what you have any relevance being here for, but surely they could have just recorded this interview and sent it via a journalist.
We need you to cooperate with us, Mr. Kessler.
I have cooperated at every turn. Every turn. I've been more than compliant. I've told you everything. I don't know anything else.
Mr. Kessler, I am afraid this is corrupting the process of the investigation.
I woke up, I missed my breakfast, I went to work, and then I had the shower. That's all that happened. Nothing else. By the time I'd finished telling you about my day, you would have run out of film. It's pointless.
I do take this very seriously. I hope you understand.
I'm sure you do. But you don't take me seriously, do you? If you took me seriously, then none of this would be happening. Be investigating what's really going on, not just the fact that I might have black feet.
Look, I know I don't seem very helpful right now, but this is my job. It is to help. I'm not a journalist. I'm a trained health investigator, and I'm trying to assess you. That's why I'm here personally, Mr. Kessler, and not still in Washington. They've sent me because I have helped people enough to be sat across from you, so please, let me help you.
Look, I know I'm sick. Something wrong. But I can't tell you. I don't know anything else. I'm sorry.
Have you noticed anything happen to you since you were a son here? Or change, perhaps? Anything even barely noticeable?
Other than the symptoms I've recounted, nothing. Maybe I'm thirstier than usual, that's about it.
You're drinking more than usual. Could that be to do with your raise in body temperature over the last week?
Well, I suppose, but I don't understand why my dehydration has anything to do with it, but weak, I didn't mention that. I haven't reported that yet. How do you know?
Have you noticed anything else that happened since you arrived here?
No, answer my question. How do you know?
Cut. Have you noticed anything?
No. Who are you people really? What is going on here? What's going on?